It's written in the stars, in the stars, in the scars. No matter what you take, you want it. What if I feel so bad?
Alright everyone, this is Cobrak, and with the launch of the Warlords of Draenor Alpha testing, we now have access to the official 6.0 patch notes for Warlords. Now there are a lot of things in these notes that we already knew were coming. They go into more details about things like the stat squish, as well as things like which instant cast heals are going to be given cast times in WoD. There is just a ton of stuff to read up on here, as it is, after all, no ordinary patch, so if you do want to have a read over the notes yourself and haven't already tracked them down, I have linked them down below in the video description for your viewing pleasure. Now first off, straight away in these patch notes is something new to me, something unfamiliar. Level 100 talents are included in the alpha, alongside something called Draenor perks. These perks are going to be an entire array of passive buffs. There are going to be 9 perks per class, and 1 perk will be earned per level from level 91 up into 100. Perks are different for every class and every spec, and include things like Beast Mastery Hunters being able to cast kill shot on targets that are at 35% or lower health, up from 20. So perks are pretty much passive skills that you gain as you level, put in place to keep you feeling like your character is progressing and becoming more and more powerful with each ding. And this is arguably needed in Warlords, because of course a big focus in the expansion is reducing the number of spells and abilities that we do have. It really wouldn't make much sense if we were gaining a whole load of new spells to play with as we leveled, right after a bunch of them had been axed. So these passive buffs or perks are, in my opinion, a pretty exciting placeholder for that, and because they change depending on your spec, I also feel it will help along specs feeling unique to one another. However, I am going to stop there. There is a load of other stuff to talk about, so I am going to save the perk talk for another video altogether, and that video should be out tomorrow if I can stick to the schedule. But we are going to be going a little bit more in depth with that one, looking over a lot of the class perks in detail, maybe doing a little bit of theory crafting, but for now, let's just get on with the rest of these more general notes. Now there is a load of stuff here that I've already covered in past Warlords of Draenor videos, and it includes base resilience being completely removed, reduced to a flat 0, as well as the removal of battle fatigue, crit damage being reduced, a ton of healing spells being retuned. I'm not going to go over this stuff here. A lot of this is already pretty well known by most people, but if you aren't one of those people, again, the notes are linked below in the description for you to check out at your leisure. Now though, it is finally time that we get to see exactly which abilities will be getting removed for each class in Draenor, and again, I'm not going to go over all of these, so apologies if I do miss your class out. Do bear in mind that this first list is of the damaging or non-CC spells. We will get to the CCs removed a little bit later on in this same video. A key spell gone for druids right away is Symbiosis, and this ability has pretty much been the subject of hot debate ever since it was introduced. Resto druids being able to ice block, ferals being able to bubble, and warlocks being able to spam rejuvenation just seemed a little bit weird, and maybe even a little bit overpowered to a lot of people. And while I'm not one of those people who strictly who thought that the spell was overpowered, at least in most cases, I do think that the spell was just a little bit strange. And being able to not only use an ally's ability but also give them one of yours, it could be argued that Resto Druids needed the extra defensive cooldowns in the form of Symbiosis this expansion. Maybe they won't need that safety net in Warlords of Draenor, but either way, I am overall glad to see this one go. Arcane Shot is gone for marksman hunters, and I am a massive noob when it comes to hunters, so while I could well be wrong, this does feel like it could be a pretty big change to me, but correct me in the comments if I'm way off the mark. Same with the removal of spells like Lock and Load, Rapid Fire and Kill Shot being removed for survival hunters only. News that is almost definitely going to dampen Hansol's spirits is that Deep Freeze and Shatter are available only to Frost Spec mages. Thinking of Fire Spec right now, Mr. Pandaria, I actually doubt it could survive the removal of Deep and Shatter combos, and this makes me think that there are a ton of playstyle changes coming up for Fire in the future. It reads here too that Combustion is actually going to replace Deep Freeze for Fire Spec, so maybe it will stun for a little bit longer in Warlords of Draenor. It is really too early to say. Mana gems are also being removed, and Evocation is available only to arcane mages. For monks, I will be completely honest, I have no idea at all what these guys do. Sometimes they punch me and it tickles, and sometimes they punch me and I get two-shotted. They are losing the spell Healing Sphere, however, which I am only mentioning because it is the only ability I really feel I recognize, aside from maybe Disable and Surging Mists. For Paladins, Avenging Wrath is available only to Retribution Spec, so it's no longer a healing cooldown for Holy Spec, and Guardian of the Ancient Kings is also only available for the prospect now, so that's pretty much 2 of Holy Spec's healing cooldowns is gone. And for us Warlocks, not a whole lot going on, to be honest, and which I guess is good, but there is one big one, and that is that Fell Flame will be gone in Warlords of Draenor, and I basically nearly died when I read this. As a Destruction Warlock, Fell Flame is one of our only means of dealing damage while on the move, aside from Conflag and Backlash procs. I mean, it helps out a ton for at least landing some damage while melees are training us, but I don't know, hopefully Blizzard will take a pinch of this into account so we Destrolocks don't end up being trampled for the entirety of the expansion. But I will admit, I'm a little bit irked that Frost Mages get to keep their beloved Ice Lance, while we Warlocks are forced to part with our Fell Flame. It feels the tiniest bit lame, but still far too early to really judge the expansion just yet. And the last to cover, we have crowd controls and diminishing returns. This is another topic that I have already covered in a past video, but again, a whole new shiny list of CC spells that are going to be removed has been released with these patch notes. Hunters are losing all of their pet CCs, as well as Scatter Shot and Silencing Shot, and I have to admit, perhaps to the slight disdain of any hunters watching, these changes did make me smile. It honestly can barely be argued anymore that hunters do not have too much instant CC going on, so I'm really happy to see it being trimmed way back in Warlords of Draenor. Mage's Counterspell is no longer a blanket silence, and this is the same with the Warlock's Spell Lock as well. They are both now just ranged interrupts, which I do like. I think it adds a little bit more skill to the game. Instead of just using your interrupts to blanket silence people, you actually have to catch them out mid-cast. And you can no longer Pom Sheep people, and this change also encompasses all classes in a way as well. You can no longer use NS Clone, NS Hex, anything that might make a CC spell with a cast time and instant cast is gone, and I feel this also ups the skill required to land CC, and I'm pretty pleased with this change overall. Priests now apparently have to spec into their Psychic Scream. Their AoE Fear is now a level 15 talent, replacing Siphene, and whether this means that Siphene is being removed from the game or is now just a baseline ability for priests remains to be known for me, but it is food for thought. Rogues are losing Paralytic Poison, and everyone in the world who is not a rogue will appreciate this change. And finally for Warlocks, Blood Horror's cooldown has been doubled from 30 to 60 seconds, which is actually a little bit reassuring, I feel. It implies that we might not need a 30-second cooldown ability for peeling melees off of us, all speculation of course, and the CCs of our Succubus and Shivara, that is Seduction and Mesmerize, are to be on 30-second cooldowns, and this isn't going to bother most people, but as a guy who loves to queue battlegrounds and tries to kill multiple enemies at once, the Succubus is a very important tool for me, so I fucking hate this change. I think it's the worst change in you. In all fairness though, hunters are losing all of their pet CCs, so at least we aren't faring quite as badly as those poor bastards. As we scroll further down the page here, you can see that there are a bunch of changes to each class and a handful of their abilities, but it honestly feels a little bit redundant to cover these or even pay much attention to these notes right now. Warlords of Draenor has just ended alpha testing, and what these notes say on the bottom here could end up changing like the English weather. So I'm not going to go over those in this video, but just be aware if you are interested, they are there to be read and skimmed over if you want to read up a bit on the direction that your class might be headed. So that is all for this video, guys. I hope it was at least a little bit informative. Please do let me know what you guys think of the changes announced in these notes down below in the comments. I always like hearing what you guys are thinking with these kind of things, as there is almost always something really important that I've missed out, so I'm going to be reading through and replying where I can. As always, I want to thank you all for watching this video. A video covering the class perks in Draenor will be out hopefully tomorrow, if not the day after, so until then, stay Destra everyone. Thanks for stopping by, and I will catch you all in the next video.